The microphone feedback ripped through the night like a gunshot, silencing the thumping bass from the band's speakers. My sister Lena's voice exploded over the crowd. Ezekiel and Johnny aren't hiding anymore. They're in love. Damn it. And it's beautiful. And in that split second, her words hung in the air like smoke from a flare gun. Johnny's hands slipped from mine, his face draining of color as 200 festival-goers whipped around, eyes pinning us like spotlights on fugitives. I froze there on the edge of the makeshift stage at UC Riverside's annual spring fling, the air thick with the smell of grilled tacos and fresh popcorn from the food trucks lining the quad. It was supposed to be our night, me, Ezekiel Hayes, a lanky junior majoring in environmental science, finally letting loose after midterms. Johnny Rossi, the brooding art major with olive skin and a sketchbook always tucked under his arm, whispering promises of a future we'd build brick by brick in this sprawling inland empire sprawl. We'd kept us a secret for 8 months, stolen kisses in the citrus groves behind the dorms, late-night drives down to Palm Springs where the stars felt close enough to touch. California dreams, right? Sun-soaked freedom, but only if you played by the invisible rules. Lena had crashed the festival like she always did, showing up unannounced from her job in LA, her energy a whirlwind of sisterly chaos. She was the bold one, the theater kid who traded community stages for corporate gigs but never lost her flair for drama. "Come on, Zeke," she teased earlier that evening, looping her arm through mine as we wandered the booths selling tie-dye shirts and handmade jewelry. "You two look like a rom-com poster. When are you going to stop sneaking around?" I'd laughed it off, glancing at Johnny, who was haggling over a vintage vinyl at a record stall. His dark curls caught the golden hour light, and my chest tightened with that familiar ache. The kind that said this was real, worth the risk. But risk? In America, land of the free and all that jazz, being gay on a public campus shouldn't feel like walking a tightrope over the San Andreas Fault. Still, it did. Our families back home, mine in the conservative pockets of Bakersfield, his Italian-American clan in Chicago, weren't exactly waving rainbow flags at Thanksgiving dinner. And then there was the frat crowd, the jocks who catcalled anything that moved, their bro energy masking uglier undercurrents. We'd seen the flyers for the upcoming Pride Week. Sure, but coming out? That was a personal earthquake, not a group project. The band had just wrapped their set, an indie rock cover of The Killers' Mr. Brightside. Ironic as hell now, when Lena bounded on stage for what she called an impromptu improv bit. The MC, some overeager senior, handed her the mic with a grin, thinking it was all fun and games. Johnny and I were front row, close enough to smell the sage burning from the wellness booth nearby. Our fingers had brushed, a quiet rebellion, when she spotted us. Her eyes lit up, then darkened, like she'd cracked open a secret we'd buried too deep. Now, as the crowd's murmurs swelled into a wave, Johnny bolted. He didn't say a word, just turned and melted into the throng, his leather jacket a black blur against the neon glow of the Ferris while spinning lazily in the distance. I wanted to chase him, to grab his wrist and pull him back into the shadows of the eucalyptus trees, but my legs were led. Lena dropped the mic with a thud that echoed like a gavel, leaping down to me, her hands on my shoulders. "Zeke, oh God, I had to. You two were dying in silence." "Dying?" I shoved her off, my voice a rasp I barely recognized. "You just killed us, Lena. We weren't ready." Tears burned my eyes, hot and furious, as a few girls nearby whispered, pulling out their phones. Hashtags were already forming in my mind. Riverside reveal, festival fallout. This was America 2025 social media justice or mob trial, depending on the algorithm's mood. I stumbled away from the stage, the festival's pulse mocking me. Laughter from the beer garden, kids screaming on the bounce house. A group of theater majors belting show tunes by the photo booth. My phone buzzed. Texts from friends. "Dude, what just happened? Is it true?" I ignored them, weaving toward the parking lot, where Johnny's beat-up Honda Civic waited like a getaway car in a bad noir flick. He was there, slumped against the hood, staring at the ground, his sketchbook clutched like a shield. "Johnny," I whispered, sliding up beside him. The lot was half empty, strung with fairy lights that cast soft halos on the asphalt. He didn't look up, but his shoulders trembled. "Why'd she do it, Zeke?" His voice cracked, accent thickening with emotion. the Chicago edge that always surfaced when he was raw. We had a plan. Pride Week. Together. Not this circus. I sank down next to him, our knees touching, that electric spark still there despite the storm. She's my sister. She thinks she's saving us. Like we're some damsel duo in distress. I reached for his hand, but he pulled away, eyes finally meeting mine. Stormy green, flecked with gold, the color of the desert after rain. Saving? This is betrayal, man. She knew. We told her in confidence, that night at the diner after the gallery opening. Your greasy spoon pancakes and her bad jokes. She promised. Johnny's jaw clenched, the betrayal etching lines on his face that made him look older than 21. We'd met freshman year in a gen ed lit class, bonding over Kerouac's road trip fever dreams. He sketched me during lectures, hidden lines that bloomed into full portraits later, under the covers in his off-campus apartment. Our love was quiet revolutions, picnics in Joshua Tree, mixtapes of Bon Iver and Hozier, dreams of a life beyond the Bible Belt shadows our families cast. But Lena, she'd become our confidant by accident, walking in on us mid-kiss during a holiday visit. Instead of shock, she'd hugged us both, declaring herself our fierce fairy godmother. We trusted her with the fragile parts. My fear of Dad's disapproval, the way his rancher hands would fist if he knew. Johnny's stories of his nano's old-world machismo, the whispers of Figlio Spagliato that haunted his calls home. She'd sworn secrecy on her favorite script, Rent. And now, she'd lit the match. The next days blurred into a haze of fallout. Campus buzzed like a hive kicked over. Whispers in the dining hall. Did you see the video? It's everywhere. TikToks looped Lena's outburst, set to dramatic violin swells. Some cheering, "Yas, love wins." Others sneering, "Attention, whore move." My inbox flooded with support from the LGBTQ+ alliance, invites to panels I dodged before. But Johnny? He ghosted. No texts, no sketches slipped under my door. I spotted him once in the art building, charcoal-smudged fingers flying over canvas, his back a wall I couldn't scale. Betrayal festered like untreated road rash from our canyon hikes. I confronted Lena over coffee at a strip mall Starbucks, the kind with faded murals of Hollywood dreams. "You had no right," I said, stirring my latte until it frothed. She leaned forward, elbows on the scarred table, her eyeliner smudged from crying. "I was at the festival watching you too. The way you looked at each other. God, Zeke, it's like a goddamn Hallmark movie, but you're treating it like a horror flick. I overheard those frat guys earlier, joking about checking the dorms for fairies. If they cornered you." Her voice broke. I couldn't let it build. Better an explosion now than a slow burn. Slow burn. I laughed bitterly, the sound hollow. "You call this mercy? Johnny won't even speak to me. He thinks I put you up to it." She recoiled, eyes wide. "You didn't." "No. But now he sees me as part of the wrecking crew." I stood, chair scraping like nails on chalkboard. "Family doesn't out-family, Lena. That's not love. That's control." I left her there, the SoCal sun mocking my misery with its relentless cheer. Driving the winding roads to Idlewild, windows down, wind whipping my tears dry, I replayed our moments. Johnny's laugh echoing in the empty lecture hall as he drew me as a desert nomad. The night we danced under meteor showers, his head on my shoulder, murmuring, "You're my compass, Zeke. North in this mess." Deep down, our love was a root system, tangled and resilient, but betrayal had poisoned the soil. The climax hit a week later, at the Alliance's Emergency Support Circle in the Multicultural Center. A circle of folding chairs under posters of Harvey Milk and Stonewall heroes. I dragged myself there, hollowed out, when Johnny walked in. The room hushed, eyes darting between us like ping-pong balls. He hesitated at the door, then sat across from me, our knees inches apart in the tight space. The facilitator, a soft-spoken grad student named Jordan, passed the talking stick, a carved wooden thing from some retreat. When it reached me, words tumbled out. The fear, the joy, the ache of almost losing him. "I didn't ask for this," I said, voice steady for the first time. "But maybe I needed it, to stop hiding from myself." Johnny took the stick next, fingers tracing its grooves. "I ran because it hurt. Lena's words, they stripped us bare. But Zeke." His gaze locked on mine, raw and unfiltered. You're the only sketch I can't finish, because every line leads back to more. The room blurred as he crossed to me, dropping to one knee. Not proposal style, but surrender. Our hands clasped, and in that grip, forgiveness bloomed, tentative as spring wildflowers after fire. We talked till dawn in the empty center, windows fogged with desert chill. Betrayal's sting lingered. Lena and I wouldn't mend overnight. Apologies came via voicemails, laced with regret, but it cracked us open. Johnny confessed his own fears. The visa worries tying him to perfection. The cultural chasm his family bridged with silence. I love you, he said, forehead to mine. Not despite the mess. Because of it. The festival gossip faded like echo in the canyons. Weeks turned to months, and UC Riverside's quad bloomed anew with pride banners we helped hang. Lena visited once, tentative, bearing tickets to a queer film fest in LA. We hugged awkwardly, the scar tissue tender but healing. I was wrong, she admitted over vegan tacos. But right about one thing, you two? Unbreakable. As for us, Johnny and I, we drove those back roads more, sketching futures on napkins. Grad school in San Francisco, a tiny studio with views of the bay, canvases splashed with our shared colors. America, for all its fault lines, held space for us. Two guys from fractured homes, building something human, flawed, and fiercely ours. Love isn't a straight shot down Route 66. It's the detours, the blowouts, the sunrises after storms. And in the quiet of those groves, with Johnny's hand in mine, I finally believed we were home.